Our next speaker needs no introduction. She'll be familiar to almost everyone here today. Sudipta Dutt is CSBA's Account Director for Utilities. Sudipta has 15 years experience in research, analysis and consulting, where she has provided strong strategic research, project management and consulting support to her clients. At CSBA, Sudipta is engaged in delivering voice of customer and customer experience research programs. She works hard to help our clients embed CX insights and strategy into their business. She's extremely experienced in journey mapping, innovation strategy, choice modelling, and employer CX. Today, Sudipta is excited to share with you the results of CSBA's 2021 CX benchmarking program for the energy industry, as well as the observations and recommendations we've formed from this research. Please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to Sudipta Dutt. Thanks, Sudipta.
Thank you once again, Kerry, and once again, a very warm welcome to all of you to the 2022 Energy Forum. Today, I will be presenting on the topic of operationalizing the voice of customer, which is based on our theme today, which is building a culture of action. I have divided my presentation in two parts. In the first part, I will be sharing the last year results and insights. And in the second part will be all about CSBA's observations and recommendations on how can we improve customer experience going forward. Wrapping it up with CSBA's take on the CX measurement framework to fully embed customer centricity in the culture of an organization. I would like to start with a quick overview of our benchmarking program, especially for those who are not yet a part of it. CSBA has been running a CX energy benchmarking program since 2018, and we have several energy distributors as participants from both electricity and gas sector. It is a voice of customer program designed to measure, track, and improve customer experience by listening to our customers and acting on their feedback. We measure CSAT, ease, and net NPS as three main metrics. Surveys are conducted via CATI and online, monthly or weekly. We cover multiple customer touchpoints like unplanned and planned outages, new connections, general inquiries, that is our contact center, claims and complaints, and DER, which is distributed energy resources. And I'm proud to share that we have been able to achieve incremental improvements in customer satisfaction and a steady year-on-year improvement. I'll share the results with you in a moment. Now let's have a look at some numbers to summarize 2021. Last year, we completed around 13,500 surveys, had 4,000 plus login to our dashboard, and we wrote over 500 pages of reports while delivering to all our clients in the past year. I guess the number says it all, showing that we have been busy reaching out to our customers, assessing the data to understand the feedback, and analyzing results to reports to be able to drive improvements. Moving on to the results. Last 2 years have been difficult for all sectors in terms of delivering to customer expectations, and utilities was no different. In fact, it was probably harder as an essential service sector. As you know, the energy sector is always under strict scrutiny, regulations, and penalties. However, being able to maintain the growth in customer satisfaction from the past years and not letting it drop in these uncertain times when customer expectations are at their highest has been the highlight for us. As you can see on the screen, both gas and electricity CSAT scores stayed stable. In fact, when we compare our scores to some other sectors like superannuation and local government, we performed better. As it is always said that we should compare ourselves with the best. Let's do that. As you can see the top line there, that is the customer satisfaction for the UK market, where Ofgem is the regulator. and they're sitting at 9, both for electricity and gas. We are still behind them. And in fact, you can see a wider gap in electricity than gas. We heard some great stuff from Eileen today, and we should target to replicate some of that in Australia to boost and build on our CX improvements. Looking at the results by main interactions, as I said previously, we cover a few of the interactions. In gas, while planned and unplanned remained stable at 8.5 and 8.8, new connections continued the trend of a steady growth from 8 to 8.2. And in electricity, the story was no different. Unplanned and planned was stable with a slight increase in new connections. As you can see, the general inquiries also stayed stable at 7.6. These scores are out of 10. While everything was calm and stable on the top, as you saw, that everything was almost stable when we saw the results, it was not exactly what was happening. Deep inside, there was a lot of shifts happening, exactly like the swan in the picture, calm on the surface while paddling underneath. Some of you might have guessed it by now. Yes, we are going to look at the key drivers analysis now. The key drivers analysis shows the hierarchy of the customer satisfaction drivers. And therefore, the next 2 slides are really important if you would like to invest wisely on your CX initiatives. Starting with the gas sector and with unplanned outage. But before I start, I would like to quickly explain a bit about the table, as you're going to see this for almost a few slides now. A simple 3-column table with the middle column with the drivers of satisfaction. The first column on the left shows the hierarchy, or you may call it ranking, and they are arranged in the order from first to the last position. And the third column towards the right shows the percentage of importance they hold. The little symbols now, a red down arrow indicates a decrease of 2 or more points. Green upward arrow shows an increase in 2 or more points, and the blue circle indicates no change. These are all compared to the last year analysis. So in unplanned outage, there were no changes in the hierarchy of the drivers. Duration and communication covered 60% of the CSAT drivers. You can see how both of them affect the customer sentiments eventually and the scores in the comments there. Moving to the planned interactions, quality of work increased to number 1 position. Interestingly, duration increased significantly by 5 points to move up to the 3rd position in 2021 from 5th in 2020. One interesting observation was contractors greatly influenced these perceptions by relighting pilots and reinstating appliances to pre-outage settings. In new connections, the delivery of connection within an agreed time frame and communication provided during the works were both the number 1 driver for satisfaction. The other drivers like time taken for completion, professionalism, quality and tidiness followed the same hierarchy as last year. Have a look at the comments there. Speed of delivery and communication both are either deal maker or breaker for network connections. For complaints, ownership jumped significantly by 8 points to move up to the 1st position in 2021. The speed of resolution and clearly informed next steps were the next 2 important drivers of satisfaction. Let's move on to electricity now. In unplanned, little shifts were noticed with the top 3 drivers, duration, information usefulness, and communication remaining the same as last year. Though duration decreased, it remains to be the top driver of satisfaction. As you can clearly see in the comment, satisfaction gets highly impacted for a longer outage. In planned interactions, the top 3 drivers remained stable. One unique aspect that came across was customers demanding for more information on why the planned outage happened. The driver related to it That was, the information provided regarding the reason for the outage increased in importance. And as you can see from the comments there, while reasonable hours for a planned work remains the top driver of satisfaction, customers would like to get an advance notification and would like to know the reason for the planned works. We had introduced few questions last year regarding the approval stage in new connections. And we are happy to say that those two came as a top 2 drivers this year. All the other 6 drivers were equally important. The involvement of the multiple party remains the key reason for confusion and dissatisfaction in the network connection area. The comments clearly show that the customers, especially the homeowners who do not have to deal with it, are satisfied. However, a section of customers like plumbers, builders, and electricians who get through the whole process and are involved throughout the entire process really face the heat. There were no changes in the driver for complaints. Speed of resolution, taking ownership, and keeping customers clearly informed about the next steps still remained to be the top 3 drivers of satisfaction. In general inquiries, the top 4 drivers, duration, keeping you informed, ownership, and delivering within an agreed time frame, held equal weightage at 18%. Though keeping you informed increased in importance to get to top 2 from 4th position in last year. Overall, general inquiries is the interaction where even a single miss can impact customer satisfaction. So it is critical to enable the frontline agents with the right toolkits and trainings and set them up for success. I think Eileen touched on this point in her presentation too. Next, let's have a look at some of the CSBA's observation in 2021. Number 1, steady and positive shift from process to customer focus. The energy sector is slowly moving from being process-focused to customer-focused. We are seeing the customer satisfaction expanding out of the CX team. In our WIP meetings with our clients or catch-up meetings with our prospects, we are seeing customer satisfaction becoming something that is often talked and discussed. This in turn is driving higher accountability and ownership towards CSAT throughout the organization. We believe this is a signifying shift towards the sector becoming more customer-centric. Number 2, consumers' expectations have increased. As Brendan rightly pointed out, the expectations are increasing day by day, with a lot more complexity being added in the energy sector. We have noticed across all sectors that since the onset of pandemic, customers are more demanding than ever. And therefore, it is critical to improve and tighten the service level to keep up to their expectations. This is related to the energy sector too. COVID has forced customers to take charge of the situation and deal with it, be it controlling high energy bills or applying for hardship or financial support from their providers. Number 3, new vulnerable segments are emerging. The current climate has forced us to think differently about our customers. For example, in the past, it was only the life support customers who were considered vulnerable. However, the pandemic has seen many new vulnerable segments emerge. This includes a segment of people who are now financially vulnerable, who were financially secure prior to the onset of COVID. We have also noticed that the college community has become more at risk, and other groups have been affected by the increased crime rate, homelessness, and domestic violence in Australia. Last, and the number 4, working collaboratively across the supply chain. We have noticed that the ability of organizations to work collaboratively across the supply chain is having a significant impact on customer experience. Obviously, many initiatives and working groups have been implemented to standardize processes between distributors and retailers and to serve our customers as a team, which is excellent. But given that CSBA regularly sees negative comments around delays and miscommunications, particularly when multiple parties are involved, like in New Connection. It seems the industry as a whole has a ways to go to address this issue. It goes without saying that organizations who are able to work in partnership across the supply chain are set to see massive CX improvements. So what now? What does all of this mean to us, and what should we be doing? The answer is we will work it out together. As you know, CSBA works across many sectors, but what you might not know is that we gather internally every week to discuss issues and ensure the entire team is up to date on the CX trends being highlighted in our research. Our business is diverse. In addition to syndicated benchmarking, we offer CX strategy, bespoke research, quality assurance, and CX training. It is always our intention that the depth of our CX understanding is brought to life in our recommendations. We aim to be your trusted advisor in getting your CX strategy just right. So back to the question, what should we be doing? Here's the 3 steps to building a culture of action. Number 1, understand our customers better. When I say better, I mean better than the last few years. Number 2, act fast and in real time. And number 3, making customer satisfaction improvements part of your day-to-day business as usual practice. Let's have a look at each of the points in detail and what they mean. It means, what does understand our customers better mean? It means to listen to them more carefully than ever. And here's how we have been doing it. Ask the right questions. Ask the questions that matter. It is well said that insights from any research depends on how well is the questionnaire being written. At CSBA, we do a constant reviewing of questionnaires at regular intervals. We added questions on the approval stage in New Connections last year that came up as a top driver this year. We have been trialing an additional section of demographics and vulnerability for a few months now to understand how customer circumstances and demographics affect the CSAT scores. Number 2, thematic analysis of comments. While we have been collecting some excellent and rich verbatim comments from our customers, the question is, are we using that feedback in the right way? My answer is a yes, but only for few of our clients and not for all. We highly recommend doing a thematic analysis of comments at least biannually to understand the themes of satisfaction and dissatisfaction. And that customer-based evidence should be used to invest on the CX initiatives and drive operational efficiencies. Number 3, more of your customers to have their say. That simply means getting more customer responses. And for that, we plan to move from only CATI, that is telephone surveys, to a hybrid approach of CATI and online. More customer responses will help us make decisions more confidently. This will also make it easier for other distributors to join the program. More participants would not only strengthen the industry benchmark, but will make it more reflective of the sector. The last one, map the end-to-end customer journeys. This will help us understanding what customer experiences when they interact with us. That is critical to enable CX improvements. Mapping these journeys identifies the pain points for both customers and staff, revealing service gaps as well as opportunities for improvement and innovation. Moving on to the second point, act fast and in real time. We would all agree this is not a new concept, but we continue to see many organizations not able to get this right. This is no longer a nice to have capability. It is now a must have. We have been working with our clients rigorously on this issue in the past year. Some of the examples how organizations are making improvement in this area are moving from monthly to weekly surveys. We have been trialing weekly surveys with a few clients so that we can get the customer feedback closer to the interaction. Smooth sampling process. To enable a real-time feedback would mean getting a sample faster from the clients and on time. CSBA has been working hard to conduct trials to implement APIs for a quick sample transfer automatically and through bots. This will also eradicate any chance of human error. CX Improvement Program. CSBA has been running multiple CX improvement programs to bring in a disciplined approach into the system and helping organizations operationalize the Voice of Customer program. Typically, we find organizations develop many ideas for improvement based on the Voice of Customer CX insight. But these ideas are not necessarily programmed. CSBA's CX Improvement Program is designed to overcome the challenges to translate ideas to actions. When an initiative is nominally complete, it is important to measure and monitor benefits and to embed change as business as usual. The last one, continuing with the theme, how can we make customer satisfaction improvements part of our day-to-day business as usual practice? Here are some of the proven tips that has worked. Democratizing the data. This means getting more people involved with customer experience. We highly recommend providing access to your CSBA dashboard to all the departments, interaction leads for each areas, and even to the contractors who are doing works on site. Not only does it bring the CX scores at the forefront, but also drives accountability. We are also now producing customized views for our executive management team. Secondly, making it heard louder and more often. It is critical to make noise at the right place and time to be noticed, and that is in front of our senior leadership team. It is our responsibility to try and engage more with the EMT and discuss CSAT scores. This will get us the right traction that is needed to drive customer focus. One small step towards it would be simply presenting the results on a recurring basis. Allowing more engagement with CSBA. We are here to help you to make customer experience more relevant in your organization. How would we do that? We have been participating in CSAT and community practice for one of our clients, attending the workshops with the contractors for another one, and running CX improvement program for a few. And we have observed that the more we engage and share relevant insights, the more interest is generated. These types of initiatives build momentum for ongoing CX improvements. I would like to wrap it up by sharing a CSBA's framework for customer centricity. While it is very simple, if we get this right, we can drive customer centricity throughout the business. The top part of the framework reflects an organization's leadership. Leaders have the responsibility to drive down a customer's first culture. With the right advice, leaders have the unique ability to create organization that will foster, embed, and reward customer centricity. The bottom part of the framework is all about collaboration. To work collaboratively with teams, stakeholders, and partners to achieve customer focus. Working together in this way can break down silos and build relationships to deliver a consistent commitment to the customer. And if these two are well aligned, it will naturally foster the CX improvements and employee enablement at the same time. Based on the customer centricity framework, CSBA recommends this approach to achieve a 360-degree view of customer experience. We have divided this into three main parts: external, internal, and best practice. The external includes the voice of the customer and the voice of the stakeholders, while the internal listens to the voice of business and its employees. The third and the critical portion is the best practice that a company follows to deliver the right experience to its customers. It is about the investment you make to put in place the best practice systems and processes, like quality assurance programs or training for your staff, to equip them with appropriate toolkits to handle customer interactions effectively across all channels. And as I mentioned before, CSBA has a wealth of services that can help you create an outstanding customer experience. To conclude my presentation, I would like to share a short video that throws light on our energy benchmarking program and highlights how we have been operationalizing the voice of our customer for many of our clients.
Customer experience is a big differentiator in business today. At a time when customer expectations are at their highest, listening and acting in real time is no longer optional. At CSBA, we believe in empowering you to do better for your customers, employees, community, and stakeholders. To break down internal barriers by allowing instant access to customer insights across teams and departments, which is why we built the CSBA Voice of Customer Dashboard, a dynamic platform that provides a 360-degree view of every element in your Voice of Customer program. Let's take a closer look at how our Voice of Customer Energy Benchmarking Dashboard has helped gas and electricity distributors achieve incremental customer experience improvements since 2018. The dashboard displays all key measures of your customer's experience in one page. It is highly visual and easy to use. You see all your scores such as customer satisfaction and ease as soon as you log in. It covers all customer feedback across multiple touchpoints, regions and time periods, and lets you drill down to see the details of how each area is performing. You receive customer feedback in real time, so you're up to date with how customers experience your service. This allows you to keep your fingers on the pulse, to track your progress, to get proactive, to solve issues, and celebrate wins faster. You can also see it over a time period to understand the trend. You get alerted as soon as a customer returns a low satisfaction score. This triggers a reference number that allows your team to read verbatim feedback to understand your customer's pain points. Our integrated case management system gives you the power to turn insights into action fast. Alerts can be allocated to a specific department for follow-up, where progress is tracked through the entire journey. You receive benchmarking data that tells you how you're performing compared to your industry peers. You can perform your own analysis by customizing your data to suit any presentation or report across teams of all levels in your organization. Our data tools are flexible. Export what you need when you need it. Our key driver analysis allows you to understand what's important to your customers. It shows the hierarchy of what's driving their satisfaction to allow you to prioritize your customer experience initiatives and invest wisely. The CSBA Voice of Customer Dashboard is a game changer in speeding up customer experience improvements. Tailored for you, the Voice of Customer Dashboard enables a cultural shift from process focus to customer focus.
At CSBA, we have been working with the utility sector for more than 25 years, building a deep understanding of the complex environment that distributors, retailers, regulators, and customer advocates work in. We bring our sector expertise to design our Voice of the Customer dashboard and reporting. The program is custom designed to meet your business objectives and to help you provide better customer experiences for your customers and stakeholders.
Seeing is believing. And this is exactly what the CSBA Voice of Customer dashboard does. It brings your customer feedback to life across all the multiple touchpoints. It gives you clarity. It makes it easy for you to make decisions fast. This is just the beginning to driving operational efficiencies, and it will empower win-win relationships with your regulators.
So no matter where you are in the customer experience journey, CSBA has the expertise and passion to help you succeed.
Join our program to make customer experience improvements part of your day-to-day business as usual practice.
Get in touch to learn more about our CSBA Voice of Customer program. We would love to hear from you.
So thanks for listening to me. Back to you, Carolee. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Sudipta. Wonderful presentation. Great to see the video as well. Makes it look really easy and quick and yeah, really cool. Thanks for bringing that to the forum today. Sudipta, as you went through your presentation, it dawned on me in such a basic way that you spend your entire working life dealing with many, many energy companies and super smart clients within every meeting that you attend. Is there some insight that you can give the forum today about what you think is the most crucial element that drives customer experience in the current climate?
Thank you, Carolee. Great question. To start with, I think gone are the days when customer service was about answering the calls within 30 or 90 seconds. It is much more complex and meaningful today. Maybe let me put it this way. I read it somewhere. Building customer loyalty is like asking someone on a date. Branding is the reason why they say yes to you. And customer experience is why they marry you and stay with you forever. You might say this is more applicable for the competitive market, but I would beg to differ. It is equally applicable to each and every sector or market. Because when you marry someone, you trust them for life. And to answer your question, the most critical element in current climate is building trust. In this pandemic era and what's happening in the energy sector, building trust is the most critical element. And why? Because it brings along an emotional engagement with the customer. During my presentation, I said that there is a steady and positive shift from process to customer focus in the sector. I was indicating and talking about emotional engagement. Treating customers as human and understanding their circumstances and underlying emotions is indispensable to delivering an exceptional customer experience in this pandemic era. And if we get this right, I think everything else will follow a natural progression. I firmly believe it is essential to understand the end-to-end customer journeys for as many touch points as possible. As Brendan rightly said, we are just looking at the iceberg of the customer experience. We don't go into details and see what else can we go in for. So the touch points I showed you today were just few, but we would have, I think, multiple touch points we need to touch upon to actually look at the complete iceberg. And this will help us decode the customer pain points and allow them to transform it into relevant CX initiatives on which we can work to alleviate the anxiety and deliver best practice CX. Thank you, Carolee.
Yeah, fantastic, Sudipta. It's fascinating to hear about emotion in this industry and about trust. And I wonder what's next. Almost every company has some system in place to measure customer experience. So why should an energy provider join the CSBA benchmarking program? What makes it so unique?
This is indeed a great question and gives me an opportunity to explain. So thank you. I agree that every company is measuring CSAT in one or the other way, and why not? It is essential. But what is more important is to make use of that customer feedback in the right way, as I said in my presentation. So measuring is good, but using the feedback to drive improvements matter. CSBA's Voice of Customer program, I believe, allows you to do that. It is not only about measuring, but tracking it and improving your customer service. We help you getting the right information to the right people on time. And this needs sector expertise. And we are proud to say that we have been working with different stakeholders across the supply chain in the industry for more than 25 years now. Secondly, I would say it is good to measure your performance, but as Brendan rightly pointed out, it is necessary to understand where you stand in the industry. And I understand our benchmarking program allows you to compare your performance with your peers, not meant to stack each other against, but to learn from the best practices and improve together. Again, the Energy Forum today is one of the examples. So it is about operationalizing the voice of customer and not just measuring and tracking it. Also, I would say the cherry on the cake is our dashboard capabilities that bring customers' feedback to life and help you visualize and democratize the data. If you are dependent on Excel sheets and just getting a report biannually or annually doesn't make sense. You have to continuously look at it and the dashboard just gives you that power to do it. And last but not the least, with the customer satisfaction incentive scheme in the electricity sector, we now realize how important it is to have an independent CX research rather than doing it in-house. Oslit is one of our clients who have been successful in this regard, and they're using the CSBA's voice of customer data for the AER submissions. Thank you, Rachel, if you're here, and the whole team for trusting CSBA.